Those were the opening words at the blessing and consecration of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. It took place on November 20th, 1959. And you might wonder, how do you know all that? Well, the reason is because I was one of the singers in a 200-person choir, all seminarians, that sang at that opening and was privileged to be able to do so. But it's also the words of Psalm 84 and its beginning. Hello there, I'm Father John Geaney of the Paulist Fathers, and you're watching Psalm Sense. Now, with all that went on at that wonderful opening of the shrine, where did that song come from? Well, I told you a little bit there. It comes from Psalm 84. And these are the words of the opening anyway, of that psalm. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord of hosts. My soul is longing and yearning for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh cry out to the living God. This time, or this psalm, was probably put together by its author in order to celebrate the three great feasts of our Jewish brothers and sisters. Those three feasts basically are the Passover, which we all pretty well know, Pentecost, which, because we are perhaps Christians, we know from the Christian tradition, but not necessarily from the Jewish tradition, and also the Feast of Tents. Now, that's probably the one we know the least, but our Jewish brothers and sisters celebrate the fact that God provided them with tents as they were making their journey from Egypt to Jerusalem. And that celebration is vivid and thoughtful and can be done either as a journey to Jerusalem or as a journey down the street to a local temple. So how do we Christians get involved here? Well, I think every so often in our lives, we tend to forget God. Now, how do we do that? Well, why do we do that? Well, it happens because we have so many wonderful explanations of what happens in our world brought to us by people who study these kinds of things. All kinds of very intelligent people who tell us why the sun rises and sets, who tell us why we can move to a time that's, what we call daylight time. And usually most of us would probably like to keep that all year round. But the point is, maybe that's not so good. We also know why the moon rises and sets and how the tides go. All of those things explained to us by scientists. It's important for us too to realize that God is still our creator, and that many of the things that we know well still surprise us. And when they surprise us, we need to be thinking in the way that Psalms 84 was speaking to us and say, O Lord of hosts, how blessed is the person who trusts in you. And maybe that person needs to be you and me. For Psalm Sense, I'm Father John Geaney. My time is up. I thank you for yours.